Hello everyone and welcome! Time passed and we return back to Shurima once again. This time we are going to talk about the most requested champion I had on my list. So it's time to dive back into old legends. The deserts of Shurima are full of mysteries and legends. Most of them are based around the Ascension and all the demigods created by this ritual. But then there is legend of Rammus. Some believe that Rammus is an ascended being that rolls around Shurima and helps those in need. Others call him harbinger of change that appears whenever a shift of power is needed. Few believe that he is the last of his kind, a being that roamed the lands long before the Rune Wars. All these rumors and stories about Rammus drove the citizens of Shurima into seeking his wisdom. The problem is, no one really knows where Rammus hides. Only few have seen him with their own eyes, and the rest are just stories passed over generations. The only real believable proof of his existence are carvings on the walls of the ancient temples, together with his monuments created in the early days of Ascension. It is said that he appears only to worthy pilgrims in great need of his aid, and those blessed by his presence experience great turning point. According to one story, Rammus saved a Shuriman prince from a great fire, and right after that, the prince decided to become a goat farmer. Another story talks about an elderly builder that decided to construct an enormous marketplace right after a brief conversation with Rammus. That marketplace later became the heart of Nashrame. As more such stories spread around the empire, people became desperate of his guidance and they started attracting Rammus with their prayings and rituals. Soon a cult was created that started a new tradition. Every year its members would gather for a ceremony during which they would roll around as a proof of their good faith in Rammus. These people believed that Rammus would answer a single question of those he finds deserving, if they are able to find him. That's why every year thousands of citizens roam around the desert in search of Rammus and his blessings. Whether he is truly a wise oracle, ascended being, or mighty beast, Rammus is known for his endurance. Many years ago there was a place called Fortress of Sirem. This place was full of magical horrors, beasts twisted by magic, corridors wreathed in flames, and tunnels guarded by shadow demons. This fortress was believed to be impenetrable. That was until Rammus appeared. Not even an hour later, all that remained of this city was dust and Rammus rolling away. Till this day, no one really knows why Rammus decided to destroy this place. Few years after that, during a year of the Great Flood, Rammus crossed the vast lake of Imali in just 2 days, dug a massive hole, destroyed a giant anthill, and killed its queen. Ever since that day, giant ants were never a problem for local farms. More years later, the Noxian invading forces arrived at the northern Shuriman settlements. They were no match for the citizens trying to defend the temple of the Ascended. When all hope was lost, Rammus emerged from a nearby cloud of dust and started rolling around the battlefield, crushing many of the Noxian warriors. As he rolled past the temple, the very foundation of this building shook and enormous stone blocks dropped onto the invading army, forcing them to retreat. Whatever the truth, stories of Rammus are treasured by the people of Shurima. The tales have only increased with the rise of ancient Shurima, the same way they increased just before its fall, giving away a belief that darker times may come. One of the recent stories talks about a mother and her 2 children traveling in a caravan across the desert. Ojan, the 8-year-old boy, was practicing his craftsmanship. He was carving his wooden block into a rounded shape. "What's that, Rockshadunk?" said his sister Zayama. No one will want to buy that. It's not dung, it's a great and fearsome god, with his armor and everything, and it won't be for sale, it's for luck. We're traders, little brother, she said. Everything here is for sale. Something's chasing us from the south, shouted Ojen's mother from outside. Suddenly, the caravan picked up speed. Zayama leaned out of the window and looked through her spyglass. They are Khmairos, already the arrows, she said. They must be after your rock shutdown. Ojen replaced her at the window and witnessed the hundreds of beetles the size of dogs swarming over the dune behind them. Zayama returned with a bow and some colorful arrows. She fired, taking one of the beetles down, but the mass of insects charged without pause. How many arrows do we have? Ojen asked. About 40, Zayama said. Their mother's voice carried from the front. We'll have to outrun them, hold on! Whips cracked at the camels as they doubled their speed, knocking Ojen to the floor. Zayama fired another arrow, this time piercing 2 beetles at once. Oil, in the left cabinet, their mother shouted. Ojen ducked away and returned with a flask of lamp oil and some old rags. They wrapped the mixture of the two around an arrow and carefully lit it on fire. Zayama let the arrow loose and a cloud of fire enveloped a huge chunk of the swarm. They continued firing flaming arrows as the caravan accelerated and the gap increased. They were nearly safe, but the Khmairos spread their wings and started catching up to them. Few of them managed to land on the roof. Hold on! The mother shouted from the front as she turned sharply left. Beetles stumbled from the roof, but Ojen heard more of them landing in. Their pincers started ripping through the wooden cart and one of them dropped in. Zayama drew her dagger and stabbed the beetle, but the blade wasn't able to pierce its armor. She then pushed Ojen back and started waving the dagger in front of her, trying to hold the insect at bay. Ojen grabbed his wooden figure and started praying. Please, Rammus, I pray to you, he whispered. Help us. Another sharp turn dropped more beetles from the roof, but this time the whole caravan fell on its side. Before the huge cloud of dust had a chance to settle, the mother grabbed her kids and dragged them into a sealed part of the caravan. She pulled out a dagger and managed to kill 2 beetles that tried to feast on them. A third beetle jumped in from the top and landed behind them. Zayama screamed as it grabbed her foot. Suddenly, all the beetles froze and stood still for a few seconds. Ojen looked outside and saw a cloud of dust approaching. The swarm of insects turned to the horizon, ready to face their new threat. A round armored shape exploded from the flurry of sand and smashed into the nearest beetle with a terrible force. It started crushing these insects with ease. It was unstoppable, and in a moment, no living Khmairos remained. As the dust finally settled, the family had a chance to look at their savior. Is that? Zayama said. Rammus! Ojen shouted. The beast gnawed slowly on a hairy leg of a beetle, juice dripping from its mouth. Their mother approached the armadillo, bowing her head deeply. You saved us, she said. We are grateful. Rammus crunched the beetle leg as the family watched. Several minutes passed. He rolled to the fallen caravan and rummaged through the debris, emerging with Ojen's wooden carving of the armadillo. That's you, Ojen said. Please take it. Rammus knelt down and bit the wooden figure in 2 with a crunch. He turned and walked few paces before spitting the pieces into the sand. Rammus said. He tore a leg from another dead beetle and dragged it through the sand as he rolled away. The family watched him disappear over the horizon. Ojen ran after Rammus to retrieve the broken pieces of the statue. He pocketed them and bowed. For luck, he said. And that is where the legend of Rammus ends. This was probably the most requested story, so I hope I did it justice. This short story made me think about these Khmairos beetles. I think it is possible that they might be some kind of void creature, but this is just a blind guess. This story did happen after the fall of Icathia, but it is entirely possible that they are just some kind of native creatures. So in the end, I really don't know what they are. Either way, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, you can always rate the video and comment down below. Follow me on social media for some weird shenanigans, and as always, thank you, come again. So little update on my playthrough of WoW that I released earlier. I just can't thank you enough. I was really surprised from not only because of your feedback, but because of the way that you accepted all the content that I release. It's almost as if you don't really care what I release as long as I release something, and I'm really grateful for that. I will release the second part because you guys obviously liked it, and it is something I just like doing. I just like playing a video game, just being myself, and at the same time improving my improvisation skills. So that's two awesome things in one bundle. And I'm really glad that you guys don't mind me uploading these. So again, thank you so much. Maybe I'll do more of these. And until the next one, see ya!